It's theater.
Yeah, and I can pull that back.
There's like a lid on it, so if you lift it from down below, right here, then you can slide it.
Because there's only one more person after me, and she doesn't want the podium either. Mary.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome to this beautiful theater. We've made it to spring. Welcome to the Cleveland Arts Prize Poetry Reading as part of the Cleveland Poetry Festival. Let's give a round of applause for the Poetry Festival. So my name is Kortney Morrow. I'm the program director of the Anisfield-Wolf Book Awards, and I'll be serving as your host for the evening. So thank you all for joining us for this very special occasion, bringing together 9 previous poetry winners of the prestigious Cleveland Arts Prize. Allie Black, Mary Biddinger, George Bilgere, thank you. Kisha Nicole Foster, Stephanie Ginese, Dave Lucas, Ray McNiece, Philip Metries, and Dr. Mary Weems. Tonight's, give a round of applause. We were just talking just earlier about how something must be in the water in Ohio because there's so much talent in this room tonight. And yeah, shout out to the legacy of the Cleveland Arts Prize for bringing everyone together and Literary Cleveland with the Poetry Festival. So tonight's event is, of course, a part of Literary Cleveland's Poetry Festival, and this year's festival theme is Language as Liberation, after the work of Ohio native Toni Morrison as a part of Literary Cleveland's year-long Ohio Celebrates Toni Morrison program. As Toni Morrison wrote in her 1993 Nobel Prize acceptance speech, word work is sublime because it is generative. It makes meaning that secures our difference, our human difference, the way in which we are like no other life. We die. That may be the meaning of life, but we do language. That may be the measure of our lives. The 9 Cleveland Arts Prize winners we are hearing from tonight are masters of this word work. They are meaning makers of the highest order, and their writing, their language has reshaped how we understand ourselves and our city. In just a moment, we will hear readings from our 9 Cleveland Arts Prize winning poets. At the end of the program, we will close with a few poems by Cleveland Arts Prize winner and former U.S. Poet Laureate Rita Dove. And after the program, we encourage you to mix and mingle with the poets and with each other to celebrate their work in this special occasion. Before we begin, I would love to welcome up the head of the Cleveland Arts Prize for a warm welcome message, Effie Nunez.
Well, hello, everyone. I have to say, this is absolutely monumental to have all of you together here. And we owe huge thanks to Literary Cleveland and Matt Weinkamp, who just does such a great job for all of Cleveland and all the poets in our region completely. So thank you. I just want you to know that all of your work, it continues to elevate the literary arts in our region, and we are honored to celebrate and support you. I would be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to point out that the 1993 Nobel Prize-winning author Toni Morrison was awarded a Cleveland Arts Prize in 1978, 10 years before she got her Pulitzer and her Anisfield-Wolf Book Award. So, you know, I just have to say, May 8th is the deadline to apply for a Cleveland Arts Prize, and I encourage all of you to apply. We have emerging, mid-career, lifetime, something for everyone. Take a chance and fill out that application. And thanks. I can't wait to hear all of you speak tonight. Thank you.
Effie, 10 years before Anisfield-Wolf. Wait a minute. We're taking notes. That's awesome, and we need it. We need that that local literary ecosystem. So, thank you again, Effie, for all that you do to steward the Cleveland Arts Prize forward. Okay, before we get to the reading, I need to list a few reminders, okay? So first, tonight's reading is a part of the Coventry Sparks Something, a springtime celebration of creativity and activation on the street. We hope you check out the many events happening all weekend. There was just an event right before this. There's lots of innovative programming happening. Second, the Cleveland Poetry Festival continues tomorrow with an epic day-long poetry crawl on Indie Bookstore Day. There are 8 readings at 8 bookstores over the course of 9 hours, featuring more than 30 local poets. We hope you'll join us for one or more of the readings tomorrow, and if you make it to all 8, I do hear you get a special prize. I don't know what the prize is. You can ask Matt. Finally, please help me thank everyone who made tonight's event possible. First, I want to thank our organizers at Literary Cleveland and the Cleveland Arts Prize. Thank you to the Heights Theater for hosting us in this beautiful space. Thank you to our sponsors, Coventry Village, and our friends at Max Backs Books. And thanks to ongoing support from the Ohio Arts Council and Cuyahoga County residents through a public grant from Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. Now, let's begin with our readings. First up, we have Allie Black. Allie is the author of the poetry collection We Look Better Alive, Burnside Review Press 2025, and the poetry chapbook If It Heals at All by Jakar Press 2020. We Look Better Alive was nominated for a 2026 NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Work in Literature for Poetry. Yeah. Allie's chapbook was selected by Jackie Shelton Green for the New Voices series and named a finalist for the 2021 Ohioana Book Award in Poetry. Allie's poems and essays have appeared in the Atticus Review, Jubilant, Literary Hub, The Offing, the Adroit Journal, and elsewhere. With that, please welcome 2025 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Allie Black.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kortney. And thank you to the Cleveland Arts Prize, to Lit Cleveland, to my fellow awardees, and to all of you for being here. When I think about language as liberation, I think about language as survival. And all of the poems that I'm going to read tonight are poems that have helped me survive through tragedy and woe. And so I'm not going to give too much context before each poem because they pretty much speak for themselves. And I'm going to read from We Look Better Alive. Let me make sure I stay on time. Once everybody started dying, We thought we could start a business. We even gave it a name like it was something worth trying. To be fair, the hood was hitting us up every time a body dropped. This girl wanted a casket wrapped. That dude needed a t-shirt, a bio written, a band booked, a singer scouted, a prayer picked, a balloon released, a flyer posted, the photos gathered, remarks given. I even created a folder and labeled it Live Forever. And inside that folder, I made more folders, labeled each one with a dead person's name. But just like a list, it grew too long and I had to walk away. Funny how death can make you feel invincible. I don't have words these days, but I do have dreams, these ideas that feel urgent and awful all at the same time. Who in their right mind can get to work in times of grief? We thought we could start a business. We even gave it a name. Field trip, Cleveland, Ohio. The kids in the after-school program scream and run when we walk past an outdoor art installation full of figurative sculptures by a Brooklyn-based artist. They call it a cemetery and convince each other they see ghosts. It's logical to fear things we can't see. Our imaginations, dark and dangerous like loaded guns. A girl sees a purple high-heeled boot in an empty field and calls it a kidnapping. 2 blocks later, another girl sees a fence wrapped in yellow caution tape and calls it a murder. Another school shooting. Outside the school boy asks if I've heard about the children in Texas who were murdered. He looks up to the flag, which was missing all school year, and points. Look, they forgot to raise it to the top, he says. I tell him the flag is at half-staff to honor the children who died. I offer him a starburst to interrupt the silence. He declines the pink, juicy chew. I forget this is the boy who lowered his head and offered a moment of silence when I told him my Akita killed a skunk in our backyard. For weeks, my book bag smelled like the skunk. And for weeks, the schoolboy kept asking, did you wash your book bag? Did you wash it yet? I'm starting to think he wasn't worried about my bag. He was worried about the smell of death, how it lingers, how it spreads. Athens, Ohio. We drive into Athens blasting Kendrick. D Black lowers the volume and brags about Kendrick's courage, says, niggas ain't ready for real artistic expression. D Black's voice is so alive, I mistake it for the song's bass. We got the beast in the back. She lifts up, excited by all the male vibrations. I expect her to bark, but she keeps it cool and listens like a good girl. We near the exit. At D Black's request, I hit record to capture the Ohio University sign. We pass the college dorms and I mistake them for the projects. So slim, so tall, so brown. The dorms and stadiums trigger D Black, and like Kendrick, he spits out story after story of all his college days. He's talking black men, white town. I get anxious. I take note of how many times he says police, arrest, and murder. I know his characters all too well. I can swap their names with friends I once knew. The guy who gets murdered, the girl who gets pregnant, He talks white boys, beer, and dudes getting smacked with bottles. Our first stop is Siegfried, the college hall for visual artists. I take Cody the Beast while D-Black goes inside to make the past and present meet. Cody barks at two white kids carrying neon posters. Her bark makes me feel important more than it makes me feel protected. We meet Jay, D-Black's homie from college, and head towards the North End. At the North End, we order a round, and our waitress gives Cody a small bowl of water. All the patrons want to engage with Cody. It's the first time white folks have disturbed us without anything turning deadly. I am so proud of Cody. We are the most beautiful things at the restaurant. D-Black and Jay reminisce. I call their college town dangerous, a landscape set up to harm black men. Jay talks violence, and D-Black remembers the time a nigga pulled a gun out on him. This is what I mean by feeling anxious. I thank God for Cody. She distracts me from the two men I love talking death, trauma, and baby mamas. They school me on conflict, how to distinguish the weak from the naive, thug from the fool. A slurred white girl wants to know if she can pet Cody. D-Black tells her no, explains Cody is having culture shock. The white girl nods and walks away. I laugh inside and sip my apple whiskey. Two weeks after Ralph died, I guess we deserve to drink like this. Red cups, brown liquor, cheers on three. My friends are dying and we just keep toasting like there's really something to celebrate. Shit don't be adding up. Today, our 20-year high school reunion. Yesterday, Ralph's funeral. We way too young to be burying each other. At the reunion, I don't know what to say to the white girl I don't recognize when she asks me, "Do you remember me?" Of course I don't. We just buried my friend, my homie from preschool, the first guy who crushed on me, the boy with all the J's, the only kid on the street with a real hoop in his backyard, the classmate with good jokes, the kind that cracked us up. I never even had a chance to toast with Ralph. I'm sick of toasting to my friends who can't toast back. And I just have one more. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hold on, wait a second. When Quan died. This might sound weird, but hands down, Quan had the rawest home going. D-Black made this mosaic image of Quan's face and put it on a shirt, and the whole hood lined up outside our garage to buy one to rock to the funeral. We made so many the printer broke, and that was my proof that Quan was the type of dude that would make an impact on everything forever. When the pastor invited the family to the casket for a final viewing, I swear to God, a vase shattered and the flowers fell to the floor. And when the funeral was over, D-Black rode his Ripper to the gravesite, popping willies all up and down Kinsman. At 144th, we all blew our horns, because that was Quan's street, and Shalon and them was hanging out the car windows, dancing as they blasted Quan's song. But the best thing was when Alvin started doing backflips at the cemetery. I got chills watching him because I know how death can make you want to wreck some shit, but your body won't let you, so you do whatever else comes out. We kicked it at the repast. We played Quan's song and did his dance and sipped our drinks to celebrate and numb ourselves. Thank you.
Allie, that was beautiful. I just took some notes. I said the base, the memories, the most beautiful thing at the restaurant, the reprieve, the remembrance, the death, and the courage to name it. We should all be reading your work. So, yeah, round of applause. I don't think you all realize like how good this lineup is. Or maybe you do, that's why you're here. Next up, we have Stephanie Ginese, who is a mother, author, and comedian, writing instructor, and loud talker from South Lorraine, Ohio. She has published with some rad journals like The Pinch, Cleveland Review of Books, Columbia Books on Architecture in the City, and others. Her debut collection of poetry, Unto Dogs, which was published by Grieveland in 2022, centered on themes of Puerto Rican nationalism, reproductive violence, and spirituality. As a comedian, she's performed at Hilarities, the Cleveland Comedy Festival, the Columbus Comedy Festival, and more. She is a 2024 Creative Impact Fund awardee and the co-producer and co-host of the Kontu Variety Show. Please welcome 2023 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Stephanie Ginese.
Hey, y'all went full website with the bio. That's cool. I do a lot of stuff. I'm so excited to be here. Cleveland Arts Prize. What? Never in my wildest dreams. With these folks? Come on. Imposter syndrome. I have to leave immediately after this because I'm hosting a comedy show because they said I'm a comedian. And so I wrote a poem today about being a comedian. And I'm going to share it with y'all. All right. The whole bit. The host is wearing ankle socks, which means I can see his ankles. He calls a name that sounds unfamiliar after the name of someone we all know around here. Around here, there are unfancy people who fancy themselves important, unworthy. I pick fries from the papered plastic basket as another rape joke twirls in the air. I suck down the neck of my Miller High Life, fill my hole until it's time to unload. The rape joke sits down next to me. There is a laugh and then another, and then next thing I know, I'm talking about holes under dust-sleeve neon signs. The laughter really starts when I smash the bottle on a stool. Laughter turns howl when I take the bottle, slice a new hole into myself. I bleed on everyone without asking what they do for a living. On the way back to my seat, everyone claps, wiping tears from their eyes, saying, "That was a good bit. You really killed. Thank you." Okay, I did write a book. It was cool. Shout out books. Keep reading them, please. Never stop. And it talks about all those things they mentioned, and it has real people from history in it. And I don't tell you that they're for real from history. You gotta just look it up. Yeah, research. Never stop. This one's called Irene and I Forget to Take Our Birth Control Again. For Mary Weems. Dr. Mary Weems. Being the granddaughter of a colony means I am a real giver. Sometimes, mid-give, I remember the feeling of being owned by what you never asked for, and an empire's worth of history pours out my unhinged jaw. Medical researchers took the pill trials to Puerto Rico to prove even poor, uneducated women could use it successfully. I am not successful at anything but tidying my legs to be opened. My grandmother's cigarettes are martyring prayers in their little glass chapel, plastic beads lacing through the dunes of charred bodies, which reminds me that I need to start lighting candles again. Light as many as it takes until God answers again, because it is the second week of the month again, and my underwear are clean as a clinic again. Thank you. I'm gonna read one more poem from this book. And I curse, okay? Language is liberation. We allowed to cuss, okay? We paid our dues. Love, not you though. This one's for Michelle. Hija de la gran puta. Hija de la gran puta. Translation, daughter of the greatest bitch. This is the term of endearment passed down from my mother and her mother, offered up like a herringbone, like it was sworn in the pages of a familial holy book. When I was a little puta, I mean girl, I mean too young to know the difference, I thought it all one long word, a necronomicon of sorts that would conjure a bitch queen mother from the potholes on our street. A wild-haired temptress with patent-heeled paws, a lipstick shade as dark as the fourth day's blood, and a mole painted right above her dark, waiting mouth. What I've always wanted to know is, who is this great bitch? Most high bitch? God bitch? What of myself would I see echoed in the negative of her eyes? And if she were to meet death unwelcomed like all the bitches that I love do, will I then be called to ascend the throne, be cast unto the darkest shade of the moon only to return when bitches of a particular kind of wicked summon me? Or, if I am someday called to sit at the paws of Mami Puta, will she lovingly encourage my insolent nature, mother me the way mortal mothers never could? What I do know is, if there were ever a legacy to live towards, this I would consider the most fitting. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna read one more poem, because I gotta go, guys. Just kidding. I'm from Lorraine. Guess who else is from Lorraine? Yeah, that's our, we need to do nothing else in Lorraine, right? We produced the greatest writer. And it's cool because, you know, she won a Cleveland Arts Prize, I won a Cleveland Arts Prize. I don't know how many people from Lorraine won a Cleveland Arts Prize, but, you know, if it's just me and Tony for now, I'm cool with that. But there is some really great talent out in Lorraine, so expand your horizons, okay? We're doing our thing over there. I'm working on a collection now that talks about the influx of Puerto Ricans that migrated to Lorraine because of the steel plant and all of that good stuff. This poem's called 32nd Street. It is the late 90s, and everyone is still alive. And this is what I mean when I say take me back. And like, fuck a weekend in Miami. I mean, take me back to the days before death came and did a street sweep. I mean, who did we wrong to curse us like this? And anyway, we were just kids on porches stuck in the smooth of summer. Or on bikes, all explorer type, traversing parts of the city our parents couldn't find out about. I mean, we spent most afternoons at the Quick Mart on the corner, scraping a few dollars together for some honey barbecue twists and coconut sodas. Or at the park on the other side of the block watching basketballs and the boys that dribbled them flit along the sticky courts, hoping the chip crisp twists of their baby curls and the glisten of freshly Carmex lips would be enough to seduce the one with the lineup of a demigod. And the park was so full of life back then, with all the Kool-Aid-lipped kids hanging from the monkey bars, and the little custom Hondas with subs competing to be the supplier of this afternoon's soundtrack, between trumpets crying out for a home they cannot afford to return to, and the hollow drums fighting to stay heard over the rumble of hungry bellies, and yet the loudest sound in attendance was laughter, until it wasn't. I mean, take me back to the days when she was still here, and 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 she was still here. I mean, why everybody I love gotta be so good at becoming ghosts? I mean, if I could just stand on the corner of this poem forever, I would. Thank you.
leave it to a comedian to take it there. You know, my stepson right now, he loves to start his sentences by saying, you know, there's a fine line between, and then whatever it is. He likes to do this, and then, and you know, comedians walk that fine line, and Stephanie does it the best. I had the privilege of like riding around the rain with Stephanie, and to hear the poems after that is really special. And I don't think you showed me the quick mark, but maybe you did. I love this line: an empire's worth of history pours out of my unhinged jaw. That's beautiful. Woo, okay, let's give another round of applause for Stephanie. Have fun hosting. We love you back. All right, next up we have George Bilgere. George Bilgere is the author of 9 books of poetry, including Cheap Motels of My Youth, which won the Rattle Press Chapbook Contest in 2024. Bilgere has received grants and awards from the Pushcart Foundation, the Fulbright Foundation, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Ohio Arts Council, and more. His poems and essays have appeared in the Kenyon Review, Poetry, Plowshares, the Swanee Review, the Southern Review, Best American Poetry, and elsewhere. Bilgere is familiar to National Public Radio listeners from his many appearances on Garrison Kellier's The Writer's Almanac and A Prairie Home Companion. Please give a warm welcome to 2003 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, George Bilgere.
Thanks very much. I walked up those steps kind of gingerly because I'm an old guy who has kids, and one of them is 13, and I spent the afternoon playing basketball with him. Just not right. My other kid, who's 9, picked him up today. I mean, having kids gives you the most wonderful insights into what is important in life. I picked him up and I said, so how was school today? And he said, well, we had Spanish. And I said, oh, wow, so how'd Spanish go? And he said, well, the teacher farted. So that was all he got out of 1 hour of Spanish. So I'd like to thank the Cleveland Arts Prize and Literary Cleveland and Max Bax for helping to make this evening possible. I know I speak for every winner here of the Cleveland Arts Prize when I say that there's nothing more important to a writer than to have their work read, respected, valued. And I know when I received the Cleveland Arts Prize, it was just one of the great thrills of my life, and I've never forgotten it, and I'm so happy to be standing here tonight with these splendid writers and this wonderful audience, so thank you very much. So when I heard the prompt for this reading, the theme, Language is Liberation, I thought of this, a Walt Whitman poem called I Hear America Singing. And if you know the poem, Whitman is, in his Whitman-esque fashion, kind of striding around America, talking about all the different jobs and occupations and things that people do in this country, and the fact that all of those careers and occupations and employments and trades have their own language, their own song. He calls them carols. Near the end of the poem, he says, America, the varied carols I hear. And I quote that line in this poem. So a few years ago, I was in LA doing a reading, and after the event, I went back to the hotel. It was this gigantic hotel near the Staples Center. And nobody had come out to see the Lakers that night. They'd all come to my reading. I was so flattered by that. It was cool. But I went to the hotel bar, as is my wont, and I sat there and I overheard this conversation. And I wrote a poem about it. It's called Midnight in LA. I'm just going to read this one poem tonight. Midnight in LA. And at the hotel bar in the City of Angels, we're talking guns. We're talking 38s and Desert Eagle 50s. We're singing of the 44 single action and, of course, the very popular Glock 9mm. It's a kind of muscle-bound, gin-fueled, chest-pounding, And when the guy next to me says, I definitely do not leave the house without packing my .357, it feels so good just hearing it. His eyes glow with such sincere belief in the power of gunpowder and lead to construct an argument, an article of faith, that another guy, 2 stools down, says, oh yeah, you went stopping power, man. You can't do better than your .357. And somehow every man at the bar feels a little hairier, a little badder, and the room swells with macho. As for me, I've never even fired a pistol, and I feel like a virgin in the high school locker room. But I love this language, this pure, high-octane manliness. I love how the air fills up with badass when somebody else says, well, the wife carries a little .22 Colt in her purse. And we shrug and smile, the square-jawed, what are you gonna do smile of large caliber men whose women carry guns named after baby horses. And then somebody else says, I keep a loaded .45 under the front seat. And he is so fluent in the dialect of early 21st century American paranoia. He nails it so beautifully. Like another kind of person might say, we prefer the Rhone Valley Cabernet. That we all want to reach down and scratch our .45 caliber balls. We want to sit here all night nursing our sweet ballistic fantasies, dreaming of actually shooting someone we are thoughtful enough not to call black or brown or illegal. And when I go up to my room, a little drunk, and stand out on the balcony, the moon looks queasy under her veil of smog, floating above the chemical bath of the same sea that stopped the wagon trains in their tracks and turned the dream, whatever it was, back in on itself. Listen, gunshots. You can actually hear it breaking. You can hear the pops and cracks and fractures of something giving way under incredible stress. From every corner of the city, the guns are crying out, America. The varied carols I hear, the big guns and the small, in their rich diversity of accents, calling to each other in the lonely night, calling to each other and answering back. Thank you very much.
George, I know Stephanie left, but I don't know. You might be. The comedy set is continuing. Y'all love your humor. I thought you were actually playing that. You were just gonna read one poem. We want more, but that was beautiful. I took down some lines. Well-versed 21st century American paranoia, and this one, his belief in gunpowder to construct an argument, an article of faith. Just, oh my gosh, I'm just mind blown. Thank you. Let's give George another round of applause. Also, thank you for having that conversation at the bar, because, you know, I can't. Next up is Kisha Nicole Foster. Kisha Nicole Foster is the author of the books Poems, 1999 to 2014, and Bloodwork, Outlandish Press. Her work has appeared in Black in the Middle, an anthology of the Black Midwest, which I read before I even met you, which I don't think you know. Foster's poems are celebrated as public art on buildings in Cleveland, including the Orina House's community-based correctional facility building on East 55th and their headquarters on Huff, with gratitude to Building Bridges Arts Collective. Her spoken word album, Black Earth Speak Poems, can be found on Bandcamp. Foster is a Room in the House Fellow for Karamu House and the Poet for the People. She mothers Love A. Jones, So with that, please welcome 2019 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Kisha Nicole Foster.
Peace, y'all. I'm Kisha Nicole. Hey, Mom. Hey, love. I'm Kisha Nicole Foster. This is how much of a nerd I am. I wore my actual award, so I'm corny like that, okay? I'm corny like that. So let's start these. I got my timer. Start the poems. My love is a child. These are poems from my MFA program. I have an MFA from the University of Nebraska, Omaha, so these are my poems. My love is a child, and I'm climbing tall, jagged, unstable mountains to care for her, clothe her, bathe her, feed her, give her mounds of guidance that was not given to me, finding balance between discipline and freedom while she dances to Whitney Houston in our living room. She will never know who her mother was before I became her mother. She will hear faint winds of a woman she has never met. She learns in a zigzag type of way. I learned in abandonment. I am learning how to follow her gait. I studied Alice Notley, so get with her. Night 3 after Notley. Growing tall like a tree, iron bark, pissed on by dogs. Dogs have become my best friends. I've never owned a pet. I don't like animals jumping on me. All on my body is loud as rape. My body is a vessel that can transport itself to a field of trees. Trees stand tall and erect. Even air cannot disturb most strong saplings, young trees with slender trunks. Trunks store photographs, diplomas, and whispers from childhood. Childhood is when spelling words conjure imagination, shuffle cartomancy as an illusion. People can only grow mountains when self-esteem is stifled self-hate speech. Purpose is what makes the iron bark tree grow. Even in the dark, tree limbs find each other, intertwine below the roots to do the same. Black like me. Black lives matter, I laugh. Like the 60s, I cackle. If lives like mine mattered, public maiming as sport would stop. Should have been mattering. Instead of shouting in the streets, we should be fighting legislation, changing acts to laws. I can't get behind that slogan because black lives been not important. We keep forgiving supremacy that continuously picks off the bones of old slavery and uses it for the stock of new. I can only dig the rhetoric for so long before my small ears disintegrate into the gravy of dominance, facts of lynching and dragging. I laugh at Black Lives Matter and how bizarre I will sound to Black lives of my disagreement. It's a new day, I say it's a new day, and it's time to separate the ghee, skim the top and keep the bottom, the good part. I take a knee, because this country took from me, sweet land of liberty, of thee I singe. The extension of my formed thoughts, overthinking. Connection, connectivity, organizing, zines, organs, harvested, harvest, starved, starve, marvel, hovel, shovel, larva. Overflowing fluid fluctuates gaps, chokes and settles in the stove, stores, stow away. I grew up privileged in poverty, money, no money. Why did I do that? Again, repeating the same shit, joints jiggling, joining jargon jumps, jumping jargon jolts, joint. My knees ache sometimes. My face has bumps sometimes. I feel nervous for my abundance, planted, seeded, harvest. Fulfillment overflows my face. Smile, 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 smile. It's the last poem. This is Sistina. I love Sistinas. And I got to work with Sandra Beasley, who was a great poet. She was my mentor, and she has a, she loves sestinas. And so this sestina is called Hands Cup Heat. It's after Elizabeth Bishop's sestina. It's in iambic pentameter, and it uses her same N words. His heart. A multi-unit foreclosed house, discipline instilled by his grandmother, memory, a disappointed child, clear window well, a dim basement, lit stove. His mind puzzles, reads Arab almanac. He gains knowledge to block his flow of tears. White told black not to cry, dry, wet tears. Pull them in broken sink that is your house. Sweep kitchen, dirt floor like your grandmother. He remembers her with hung almanac, preserves her speech in castor pot on stove, shelters new fears, a sad inner child. When he dreams, he is a forgotten child. When he wakes, his clothes steep from bleach blue tears. Nightmares boil on purified copper stove. They snake up the siding of his single house. Ears strain to hear the hum of his grandmother. Forecast his today, farmer's almanac. Black men's dead bodies battered almanac. Black men's dead bodies once a fun brown child. Black men's dead bodies wail for grandmother. Black men's dead bodies wilted Negro tears. Black men's dead bodies yearn to hug their house. Black men's dead bodies find warmth around stove. In the hood, when it's cold, we stand over stove. Hands cup heat translates almanac, gives directions home, back to the poorhouse, where there is a muffled mouth, starving child, whose mother works paycheck to pay the tears. Mother repeats gate from her grandmother. Black man arrested calls for his grandmother. She answers, weary, cornbread hot on stove, tells him she adores him, stifling her rile tears, serenades to him the world almanac, points out the correct way to rear a child, says she will wait for him outside her house. He will drop stone tears, scribe the almanac. Mrs. Grandmother, make love to her stove. Show heart to his child who inherits house. Thank you.
The first time I read in Cleveland, I shared the stage with Kisha Nicole Foster, and my dad was hearing my poems for the first time. And afterwards, I was like very nervous, like, what is he gonna say? What does he think of my work? He said, Kisha. Kisha Nicole Foster, does she have an album? Because I would listen to that. And I said, well, we're at a poetry reading, but I think what he was speaking to is the musicality of your work, which is just piercing. And what I want to just tell people is that in addition to the oral sounds that you're hearing, there is nothing like reading Kisha's work on the page, because she is a formalist. She loves form. And this is also just a plug, please, if you like something that you're hearing, there are books for sale. MaxBacks is the book selling partner, and you should definitely take in everything you're hearing and also read it on the page. And I wanna lift up this line. I'm learning how to follow her gait. I think so many poets and writers and people in Cleveland are learning how to follow your gait. So let's give a round of applause. Next up, we have Mary Biddinger. Mary Biddinger is a writer of poetry and short fiction. She is professor and chair of English at the University of Akron, where she teaches graduate and undergraduate creative writing courses and directs the Northeast Ohio Master of Fine Arts in Creative Writing program. Her most recent books are the novella in Flash, The Girl with the Black Lipstick, 2025, and the poetry collection, Department of Elegy, 2022, both with Black Lawrence Press. Biddinger is currently at work on a short story collection about a very peculiar lakeside community. Please welcome 2019 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Mary Biddinger.
Thanks so much. Oh, wow. I'm a little shorter than you, Kisha. But I'm so happy to be reunited with you. 2019 was a great year, and it's so nice to hear you. Thank you so much to Lit Cleveland and to the Cleveland Arts Prize and to Max Bax and to all of you and to all these great readers. It's just such an honor to be part of this lineup. Also, I'm pleased to represent Akron here tonight. We're part of Northeast Ohio. It's a real delight to be here, so thank you. So I'm going to read new work. I'm one of those people who's always most in love with what she's working on now. But that's also kind of hard because I'm not sure that I've read these to many people before. So I write prose poems, and so what you're going to hear from me looks like this. It's kind of like in a little box. And so the project I'm working on, I hate to disappoint you, I'm not going to read about the weird lake, but I am going to read from a project that's involving a community in Chicago where we have, so basically we're in the 80s. Anybody here around in the 80s? Okay, so you might get it. And I don't think you have to be in the 80s to know that certain really important figure in a neighborhood who is the corner granny. Anybody here have a corner granny in their neighborhood? Like that one lady who always kept an eye on you? She knew everybody's business, but she still took care of you. So I'm going to read a few of these prose poems for you today. I've been thinking a lot about technology and fielding many questions about technology. So I thought I'd read you one that has a really old computer in it. Who here is familiar with the Commodore? The Commodore, okay, good. I anticipate that when I'm out in the world reading from this book, and it's just a manuscript, it's not published yet, that I'll probably say that sometimes, and people are like, the Commodore what? And there's also a reference to the show called V. Has anyone heard? Okay, there's some recognition, and the lights are really bright, but I'm confident that people out there are responding. Also, finally, who has heard of this phenomenon called the porcupine cheese ball? You haven't heard of this? Okay, I'm not from Ohio. Let me explain it to you. It's not actually an animal. It's cheese, and you put nuts in it, and it looks like a okay, I'm giving too much away. This is everyone preferred the present over the future. Our neighborhood corner granny believed a porcupine cheese ball should be shaped as a ball, not a porcupine, even if the almonds truly resembled quills, even though the name prompted a happy squeal from kids attending the Saturday afternoon potluck. I was far more interested in talking about my stamp collection, fiddled with a handful of adhesive stamp hinges, hoping someone would ask what they were. A group of boys argued who would be the first to dredge a cracker across the porcupine's back. Someone attempted to play a song on a harmonica, but quickly ran out of notes. And then Mr. Beckler showed up with the mysterious box, shallow and wide, bearing the word Commodore and a photo of something that looked like a flattened toaster. Corner Granny regarded him with distrust. One of her old mutts began barking, albeit in the opposite direction. My first thought, the box must be filled with popcorn balls, as sometimes Mrs. Beckler lost count and made 30 or so extra to share. Then I figured the box might be for donations. My godmother sometimes passed a top hat around the bonfire when adults were toasted on spiked cider, collecting spare pennies for unemployed cabaret dancers. My brother jumped up to look, only to find that the box was empty. Mr. Beckler pointed at the nearby window of his house, and we all regarded its eerie green glow as if someone had gathered every uranium glass artifact in the neighborhood and packed them onto a single shelf. "The future," Mr. Beckler declared, "sits on our kitchen table right now." I thought about my beloved stamps at home, stern eagles, rippling wheat fields, roiling flags, and nightmares I suffered after watching a few episodes of the show V. The future felt like a cold and sickening dream. Robots with mechanized necks, meals condensed into a single swallowed pill. Corner Granny produced a box of Ritz crackers, our universal favorite, and the kids all ran in her direction. A few people engaged Mr. Beckler in conversation, but mostly because they felt embarrassed for him. My godmother rounded a corner with a top hat and a sign that read, "Feed the babes." Oh, thank you. All right, so this is one about miracles. So this is on the west side of Chicago, and there's like a million churches. And so our protagonist in this collection spends a lot of time, she goes to Catholic school, spends a lot of time with Corner Granny, and so experiences some of the religious mysticism that is brought to her. She also, as you've probably noticed, has a godmother who's quite eccentric, but also a good babysitter and, I guess, spiritual guide. This is called "Everyone Knows a Miracle When They See One." The day I broke my arm at school, nobody could get my mother on the line. The nurse asked me a third time for our home number, but my mother worked, I reminded her. When she wasn't at work, she was asleep or wandering the aisles of Walgreens looking for discount makeup sponges. Holding an ice pack to my elbow, I imagined the avocado rotary phone spitting into our kitchen with nobody there to pick it up. My godmother was at a spiritual retreat in Springfield, contemplating vocations on a replica of the Talisman riverboat. Grandparents hundreds of miles away in New York, their vinyl folding chairs stationed under an aluminum awning. They didn't speak English anyway, except to their old spaniel, Boris. Next, the nurse tried calling a payphone outside the bar at the end of my street. It rang into the mid-morning breeze, past some men playing checkers at a picnic table. Nobody picked up. My stomach growled since it was almost lunch. We ate in shifts due to overcrowding, my grade scheduled for 10:42 a.m. The nurse handed me a Starlight Mint and dialed our home line one more time. Busy signal, probably another call coming in. Perhaps the principal, who wanted someone to sign a waiver absolving the school and its unstable bookshelves. Nobody had dared me to climb to the top. I thought I saw a golden crow perched at the very edge. I had no choice but to make the precarious journey. When I explained this to our neighborhood Corner Granny, who happened to be walking past the school as they stood me in the cold to prevent swelling, she signed me out and brought me to a rectory before the emergency room. I described the golden crow to a missionary nun who picked up the phone and dialed so many numbers that it was midnight by the time my cast was finally dry. Thanks, gosh. I'm going to read one more. Thank you so much for listening. One of the fun parts of this has been working with a sort of continued cast of characters and the different children who are here. And this is one that's a little bit less funny, but does address the sort of broad theme of the reading. And this is called "Everyone Adores a Simple Country Tale." Best dancers in my grade ranked. Myself, of course. Victoria, mostly because her mother was a famous ballerina back in Poland and the pressure was immense. Mildred, despite forgetting either her leotard or tights in alternating weeks. The O'Connor twins with an unfair advantage because they were identical and thrashy and appeared in every corner of the stage at once. Then all the rest. I wasn't at the top because of solid technique or innate grace, but because I looked the most haunted. Madame Fournier tried to explain this artistic quality one day after a particularly sloppy rehearsal. She began by telling us about the dairy farm her grandparents had owned in the French countryside, perfect in every respect, a bucolic paradise. It was either before the time of telephones or so remote that nobody could call. Madame glanced at the studio door to make sure it was closed. A war broke out, and the only way her grandparents knew was because an unfamiliar cow wandered down the road and past their gate. Madame rearranged the scarlet knit scarf around her neck. One of the O'Connor twins started to raise her hand, then pulled it back. Madame gestured for all of us to huddle up, a formation she nicknamed the pain au chocolat. The farm was a real pastoral heaven, even with strange winds that carried smoke. But what about the cow? Mildred asked. So few of us had seen a heifer before that we immediately pictured smiling Elsie from the Borden truck. The beast had clearly come from far. It drank of the trough for what seemed like an hour. Madame's grandfather led this visitor to the stable and let her rest alongside the gentlest mules. Her grandmother brought out a warm rag for comfort, and that's when she discovered a little scroll bound with floss to the cow's front leg. Writing on the scroll was pinched as if scratched with a mending needle, but told of horrors neither grandparent could fathom. In the morning, the cow had vanished. Madame's grandmother regretted that she hadn't tied the scroll back where she discovered it and hoped the cow found its way. What does this have to do with ballet? Mildred demanded. You're the floss holding the scroll, Madame replied. Thank you so much.
Mary, that was so much fun. I felt like a novelistic sensibility to the new work, which is very exciting to me. And yeah, your ability to paint this like picture of a particular a place and a particular time reminded me a little bit of like a Maud Martha, Gwendolyn Brooks, and I'm excited to see what comes of it. So yes, definitely keep us posted on that. And also, if you're interested in her work, you can buy some of the other books that she has already worked on. But yeah, I love this like magical realist quality to your work, and I think we need to bring back the corner granny. I think that should be a campaign. So let's give Mary another round of applause. So what's gonna happen right now is we're gonna take a 10-minute break. We're gonna take a 10-minute intermission to just absorb what we've heard, to talk with one another, to buy books. So feel free to get up, stretch, and I think there's dessert in the lobby. I hope I'm right. And we'll just see you back here in 10 minutes. Thanks. Welcome back from our brief intermission. I hope you got some dessert. I hope you were deep in conversation about everything you heard. I hope you got some poetry books. We're gonna kick things off with this second round of sets, and we're gonna start with Dave Lucas. So Dave Lucas was born and raised in Cleveland and studied literature and poetry at John Carroll University, the University of Virginia, and the University of Michigan. His first book of poems, Weather, released by VQR Georgia in 2011, received the 2012 Ohioana Book Award for Poetry. Named by Rita Dove as one of 13 young poets to watch. He has also received a Discovery The Nation Prize, and in 2018, he was appointed the second poet laureate of the state of Ohio. A co-founder of Cleveland Book Week and Brews and Prose at Market Garden Brewery. He teaches at Case Western Reserve University. Please welcome 2016 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Dave Lucas.
Okay, let's see if we can't bring that energy back down a little bit. I want to thank Literary Cleveland. I want to thank Max Bax, and especially Cleveland Arts Prize winner Suzanne DiGaetano. And everybody at the Cleveland Arts Prize, too, for bringing us together for this event. It's an honor to read and listen among teachers and colleagues and friends, and even my arch nemesis, Phil Metris. So thank you, Matt and Michelle and Kortney, for hosting and also for honoring our beloved Rita Dove. And thank you all for being here. There's this Buddhist maxim that's attributed to a 9th century Chinese monk named Linji. In urging his students not to let anything deter them on the path to enlightenment, he said, "Do you know this? If you meet the Buddha, kill him." Which always seemed pretty harsh to me. So I wrote this poem beginning with that idea, trying to figure it out. It's called "If You Meet the Buddha." Not kill him, as Linji writes, but kill the illusion, as the Buddha is, as is anything that distracts one from the Buddha within. These words, for instance, which both say and do not say, which point toward, not to. If I think I understand, I must not understand. The trouble with language is the language, its lack, its want, its suffering, all the fire I have worshipped morning and evening. Every word is a desire to be extinguished. Kill is a metaphor, the Buddha a metaphor one must carry across and carry beyond. Between the adjective and noun must be 1,000 ways to suffer. Between this and that is a noble path if you can walk it. If you meet the Buddha there, kill him. Not Buddha, but Buddha. Not kill, but kill. Thank you. You're not contractually obligated to do that, but I appreciate it. This is a poem about the news, so you know it's going to be a lot of fun. The title is lifted from a poem by W.H. Auden, who, in writing about the news of his own time, said, "Wiser not to ask just what has occurred. Wiser not to say a word. Or, if you must, say, sir, and pretend you did not hear what you quite clearly heard. Wiser to demur, and best to let the letters blur. Wiser to ignore what's obscure or absurd. Wiser not to watch the news. Wiser not to read the news. Wiser not to rise if you can sleep, but who can sleep? Wiser, perhaps, to drink. Wiser to disguise anything you think you might want to keep. Wiser not to approach a man carrying a torch. Wiser not to march. Wiser not to play dice with soldiers or police. Wiser to avoid the ice. And if someone comes to search, wise to hide your face. Wiser not to rhyme if you can't rhyme slant. And if you can't, then wise to leave some room to deny you meant what you quite clearly meant. Wiser not to know the time, and this is not the time. Wiser never to be born, but if you must insist, wiser not to be born now, if you can help it, with so much still to burn. Wiser just to trust the bully pulpit. Wiser not to resist. Wiser not to ask just what has occurred when what has just occurred is worse and worse, both tragedy and farce. Wiser not to risk what's left of life to verse, if indeed life is the word. Thank you. We're really not used to that, poets. Maybe a snap now and again, but that's really nice. I'll close with a poem for Cleveland and with my thanks again to you all. River on Fire. Stranger, the way of the world is crooked, and anything can burn. Nothing impossible. Who comes to send fire upon the earth may find as much already kindled, may find his city bister and sulphurous, pitched and grimed. On those suffered banks we sat down and wept. There the prophets, if there had been prophets, would have baptized us in fire. Who says impossible? They fill his mouth with ash. They quench him as if a man could be made steel. A crooked way the world wends, and the rivers and the prophets. Go down and tell them what you have seen, that the river burned and was not consumed. Thank you all so much.
Dave, what a beautiful meditation on language and the limits of language and the possibilities of language and how language might fail or how it's an attempt. Some lines I pulled: kill the illusion, point towards, not to, wiser not to say a word. I feel like all these big questions feel very urgent and timely, and somehow your work is also timeless. I somehow feel like people 100 years from now are gonna look back at Empire and have those same questions, and it'd be just as relevant. So wow, that was really powerful. Let's give Dave another round of applause. Next up is Ray McNiece. Ray McNiece is the author of several books, including Breath Burns Away by Red Giant Press in 2019, Love Song for Cleveland, Red Giant Books 2015, a collaboration with photographer Tim Lachina, New Haiku, Red Giant Press 2015, and many more. Awards include a Creative Workforce Fellowship, residencies at the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and the Jack Kerouac House, grants from CPAC for the Collinwood Story Project, the Berea Library for the Oral History Project, and the Hart Crane Award, among others. He has led 2 National Poetry Slam Championship teams and is a 3-time Haiku Slam Champion of Cleveland. Please, let's give a warm welcome to 2021 Cleveland Arts Prize Lifetime Achievement winner, Ray McNiece.
Yeah, don't forget, before the Cavs, we won the championship. Didn't have a parade, though. No parade for us. We did speak for the city council, though. We did perform for the city council. Once again, thanks for the Cleveland Arts Prize. Thanks for the entire ecosystem of Cleveland literary arts, that all this environment that we've all come out of. I could not be standing up here without all of this. So thank you so much. It's Suzanne, the patron saint of local writers. Matt, and Michelle, oh my God, you know how much work you do. It's the hardest working woman in Cleveland Poe biz. So thank you. And also heartfelt thanks to all the writers. You know, we get these awards and it's nice. We do it without the awards and without the money and without the accolades. It's just what we do. And so I want to heartfelt say thank you, all my fellow artists. I know all the lonely nights, long hours, sacrifices that you make in your craft and southern art exercised in the still night when only the moon rages. So thank you so much. I am so glad to be a part of all this. I sing "The Body Electric" as one of my great avatar lines from Uncle Walt, weirdo Uncle Walt Whitman. And, you know, back in the day, we became poets in many different ways than we do now. For instance, if you were going to be a bard in England, they would sew you up in a leather sack and hold you over an abyss for 3 days. Now we just get an MFA. And this is about liberation. Language is liberation. Thank you, Toni Morrison. Body stands his breath slowed down, thickened around the word stoked up, crying hungry for air as newborn, for blood-thrumming milk of mother tongue. This tune formed of moans marrying groins with ooh unto the moon's pull. Oh, come home again. Ah, hearts echoing, skins thumped, gut strings vibrating here, where we speak sparks from tongues like flint to kindle the torch of speech, swung overhead the syntax of the stars, embering night, telling the tale of light, falling in love with dark, and their child, the sound, behind the word spreads its wings, filling lungs with fiery names of things that sing, passion-buzzing cups of spring that dirge sorrow, laying stones on graves. They resound now to the big bang drum. But the word learned to lie through a smile of fangs, let itself be sharpened into a point and stuck into the music of pulse till no stayed frozen open on mouths of enemies. It marched like charred stick figures across the yellow pages of history, only to suffocate again under library stacks. But the word rises, naked howl for only the letters of the law. It doesn't cower under the black pall of headlines, click and flicker inside screens. It speaks one wild seed that says green, one drop of sweat cooling toil of dust risen, one crust of bread broken, shared out, one blossom tossed in the path of death. One poem that knows the teeth of the poet will outlast any new lyrics lingering. Word wends through the shambles of Babel, dowling from its raggy bones, vagabond, merrily, 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 and everybody in line at the bank joins in, dream. The hustle stops below the pyramid, scams where every eye wants the spotlight glare, the sound bite blare, that can never drown out the simple lyrics we share here, where breath steams and streams. Tale tellers ran 6-foot bone ropes through their tongues to watch what they said. Bards were sewn up in sacks hung over an abyss 3 days. Griots, Shaughnessy's, they wore down their foot bones, bringing the ghost chorus present. And the muse unravels veils of silence in the midst of this din of dis and kisses the word full on the lips. So there is nothing between truth and breath set free. That's for all you poets out there. So thank you, Cleveland Arts Prize. You brought me home. I always leave Cleveland. I've left Cleveland so many times. You all know I have these giant farewell parties, and then I'm back like 2 years later. Freaking Cleveland. I love it. I can't help it. But, and then the other reason I'm back here in Cleveland is the love of my life, Nancy Red, who's out there. So this is before you, Nancy. This is from the new book. Yeah. The road that carried me here, revisited. Tired as those 2 lanes running down the middle of my brain. Wired on country cocaine. Goodies headache powder, 500 milligrams aspirin, 500 milligrams of caffeine, creamer for asphalt black, hot coffee. I stare down through the middle of the country in the middle of the night, mainline in the white lines. No milk of kindness at the end of the road, just a room with the same cheap pastoral landscape. Waking in a panic, I stumble outside to ground myself. A palm, a pine, an oak tree. So now it's just more bitter black night, mainline on those white lines, bad shocks, bouncing, truck full of belongings, scraping, sparks, cracked pavement, hillbilly cruise control, duct tape stick wedged between cushion and gas pedal, the same country song drones on and on. Not another soul in sight, but these bad break backwater blinking light towns left behind beside the interstate. I'm empty-headed, hollow-hearted, no company but memory. The empty seat beside me, she burned and buried the dying bouquet of roses when I left. We were going to go somewhere someday. This song for what I've done, I sing, come on, gone down, down so alone, gone, the middle of my hearing, full of white noise, another trucker disease, the long drone of the road life of its own, a moon, an aspirin that can't be swallowed. And I drive on tired as these 2 lanes running down the middle of my brain. Tired. I don't know where I'm going, but I can't help but go. All right. Now, show you some poetry. I'm going to show you some poetry. I just did a gig down in Sarasota last year, and here I got there early thinking, oh, the students will be so eager to see me. And here's what all the students were doing. There's a thin line between in and sane. One nerve. Pin it down over here, pin it down over here. See what I mean? It's not an extension cord, it's an algorithm. Here a click, there a click, everywhere a click, click. What really happened? Don't pop a vein in your head worrying about it. What's eating me alive is making a living. I live with it. All I got to do is go back and forth and back. And one of these days I'm going to go, and I'm going to keep on going forever. I'm going to walk through walls. I'm going to walk through time, shed my skin, and go the speed of light. One of these days. Whatever you do, don't go to the zoo. Saddest part about the panther is the paw, the way it goes flop, flop. There's nowhere to go anymore. There's nowhere to go. We won't be in the middle of a box store, superstore parking lot. Did I have a hand in it? Ask the extinct. The dinosaurs, for instance. We ate their eggs. Us. We climbed out of the trees at night with our grubby little hands, our beady little eyes. We were quick. We had to be. We stuck them dry. Right back up that tree. Right back up that tree. I still like eggs. Scrambled, over easy, sunny side up, staring back at me. Disney World, oh boy, remember? Disneyland, oh, you wait in line for hours to watch machines having fun. You're in a tour boat floating along in a fake lagoon. All of a sudden, boom, fake explosion, fake whistle, whoosh, fake geyser of water, then the herky-jerky swashbucklings of Captain Hook and his mechanical laughter. Even Peter Pan's going through the motions. Even Peter Pan, think good thoughts, Peter Pan. Just about to round the bend, watch out for the fake crocodile. Boom! Woo! Whoosh! Every day, for years on end, my mother got stuck in a ride. It's a small world after all. Through the years, we'll all be there wherever we may go. Billions of us. Whatever you do, don't go to the zoo. Saddest part about the Panther, it's a POW camp. Whatever you do, don't look in their eyes now. Whatever you do, don't look in their eyes. Thank you. I will lift this platform for my next trick.
Let's see if I can do it. Wow, I'm kind of speechless. I feel like you said it all. Some things that stood out to me. Okay, let me just say. What to conjure up? You brought up the griot, and I feel like I'm anchored in that right now. These questions, where are we going? Who are we going with? Where are we headed? They're at the core of what you shared. And these lines, but the word rises. The sound behind the word spreads its wings. I think that's what we all just experienced. And what a beautiful, magical experience. And I really hope that I get to go to your next going away party. So please invite me. And we'll be here when you come back. Next up, we have Philip McNiece. Philip McNiece has written 13 books, including Dispatches from the Land of Erasure, 2025, and Fugitive Refuge in 2024. Winner of 3 Arab American Book Awards, a Guggenheim, and a Pushcart Prize, he is Professor of English and Director of the Peace, Justice, and Human Rights Program at John Carroll University and teaches at VCFA MFA Low Residency Program. Please welcome 2010 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Philip McNiece.
So Ray sits down, and Dave turns to me and goes, "You're fucked. You cannot follow Ray McNiece. Come on." But yeah, so thank you, Ray. But seriously, I've been in Cleveland for 25 years, which is absolutely insane to me, because I feel like I just arrived, and that people like Ray, who've been here from the beginning of my time here, and people like Mary Weems, people who I consider real Clevelanders, I always feel like I'm a little bit of a interloper somehow. But I'm so grateful for everything that Cleveland has brought to me in terms of poetry, but also just in terms of like all of the community that we have here. So thanks Literary Cleveland, Cleveland Arts Prize, Max Bax, and hey, let's thank Kortney Morrow for all of her great introductions. And I know some of you have heard this before, so apologies for those for whom this is a repetition, but I think it's always good to have an opportunity to toast all the things. So this is a poem called Raise Your Glass, and I would like you all to help me toast all the things we need to toast. So when I say a toast, I'd like you to raise your glass, fictional or otherwise. If you have an emotional support water bottle, even better. So if I say a toast, I'd like you all to say a toast. All right, let's try it again. A toast. A toast. To the thirst that won't be quenched. A toast. A toast. To the drought that dries up in the rain. A toast. A toast. To the drunk who finally stops drinking and drinks loneliness again. A toast. To the fire that guts the past and clears way for future. A toast to the country that misplaces its border guards. A toast to the borderland between our lives and the dream of our lives. A toast to the one who won the election for a country that no longer exists. A toast to the president who dreams he's lost his arms and wakes with an itchy scalp. Mary, a toast to the walls that grow doors overnight. A toast to the migrants, the authors of movement who write with their feet. A toast to beauty that has no reason but herself. A toast to the youth who don't know history tells them it's not possible. A toast to us in the middle of the thicket and the only way forward is farther in. A toast to the aged who live their last years where they've always lived, in another country. A toast to the dream of the other country that is and is not in this one. A toast to social media and its endless feeds where the phone eats first. A toast to the internet that helps us forget what we never knew we needed to know. A toast to the freedom where no one is free unless everyone is free. A toast to the last page of the internet which reads, "Go the fuck outside." And pull out those AirPods and throw them in the lake. A toast to the host and the guests, the ghost in this house where we die together tonight and rise in some distant yesterday, our bodies hiding in the light of a forgotten open page. All right. I got involved in this peace community here in Cleveland called the Cleveland Nonviolence Network, and last year they did a walk, a peace walk, to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And I was involved with them like 20 years ago, and we were all considerably younger, and then COVID happened, and I didn't see many of these people for 5 years. And we all got together, and everybody was white-haired and sort of like hobbling around. I'm like, shit, what happened to us? But it's so weird because you have all of these young people doing activism, and they don't know that there are these old people that are doing these parallel activism things. I wish we could just bring all those people together. But this is for the old people. Something happened during this experience, which was that we did this peace walk very slowly, so slowly that I was like actively uncomfortable. I'm like, why are we going so fucking slow? And so it's sort of about that. So here it is, peace walk. I think this is the last one I got, so just for time's sake. And, you know, because I'm getting older and the lights are bright, let's see if I can read this. The plastic bullhorn was too quiet, or in the steam heat of August, the soft voices didn't carry quite through the drum rumbling of trucks past downtown Cleveland's library garden, where we gathered again. All of us gone, white-haired, lined, or hearing impaired. But the sturdy ones who stood before stood up again. Yes, some used canes and some used walkers, but we came. Wounded Knee, Birmingham, Hiroshima, Gaza, the struggle for justice remains the same, the speaker said, and at least half of us heard it for sure. Someone told again of Sadako and her cranes, how God would come if she folded 1,000, though she made 600 some, and God, it would appear, did not come. But her story, like her cranes, flew all the way back to us again, and Sharon folded 100 for us to put on our shirts. Francis read the letter of white ashes, how we depart quicker than dewdrops on the tips of blades of grasses. Hence, we have radiant faces at dawn, but by evening we may turn into white ashes. Someone sang for peace, and we all sang back, voices warbling for peace. And then Maria called us to quiet. Except for beating drum, the peace walk would be done in silence, one foot, another. Across the crosswalk, we half crawled, blocking traffic. Drivers, vexed or perplexed, leaned on steering columns. I'm sure some of you are in the audience now that remember that. We carried no signs. A honky-tonk song blared all the way from Public Square. Somewhere farther ahead, the shriek of brakes as the train neared the station, and highway traffic surfed by, trucks tug-lugging over potholes. We passed a woman, fetal on a homeless-proofed park bench, its hostile armrest and curved seat making her sleep a feat of balance. The birds persisted in their ancient conference, bickered over finer points. We lingered at peace arising from the flames of war, pacing around its green statue, reaching to sky. The names of the dead encircled the fountain, white-clothed walkers, as nearby 2 young onlookers in black hijabs held up their phones to capture the moment together. White as mourners we, as ghosts. Sorry, where am I? Elbowing each other, 2 unhoused guys asked if we were angels from heaven. A mufflerless motorcycle farted by. People fleeing the smoldering city Pedro Urupe saw had sought relief on the river's shores at low tide. So we looked out onto placid Lake Erie as if we might be able to see them gather, seeking to stop the burning. As if silent, we might hear their cries, unable to move as the tide climbed. Our swaying pace agonizingly slow. Glaciers swept past, carrying the land into valleys and plains. Trees nosed up like follicles, arms spreading crowns, their leaves furling and falling, furling until the trees returned to ground. Between each step, tribes gathering and spreading and then tilling the earth. Walls, towers, cities, empires rose, spread, and disappeared. Epochs birthed and passed away between each step. We listened to cries we could not hear, ash to ash, light to light, dust, dust. We had to walk slower than death. Thank you.
Stunning. This line, in the middle of the thicket and the only way forward is further in. If that doesn't speak to this moment, I don't know what does. That is, I feel we are in the thicket. Thank you for bringing the energy of a toast. I think we needed that. I think I'll remember that for a long time. Yeah. I felt it conjured up all these possibilities in the ruin, and I think we need to remember the possibilities in the ruin. So thank you, Philip. Let's give Philip another round of applause. Next up, we have Dr. Mary E. Weems. Dr. Mary E. Weems is an accomplished author, poet, playwright, and social cultural foundation scholar. To date, Weems has authored 13 books, and her plays and/or excerpts have been published or produced for nearly 2 decades. Weems' cultural diversity work is grounded in her imagination intellect theory, which states empathy is an integral part of deconstructing prejudicial biases, being socially conscious, and of discovering the inextricable connection between all human beings. Career highlights include receiving a Wick Chapbook Award, a Pushcart Prize nomination, 2 Ohioana Book Award nominations in 2008 and 2012, and multiple international film awards for her short film, Socks. Please, let's give a warm welcome to 2015 Cleveland Arts Prize winner, Dr. Mary E. Weems.
I hate podiums. It's an honor to be here among so many fine poets. I can't remember when I've consistently heard wonderful poetry for so long. I want to thank Susan De Catano, who since she first heard of me has been nothing but a supporter of my work. And I want to dedicate this reading to Jim Lang, Daniel Thompson, and Margie Shahid. This is called Spring 2026. The beginning of spring feels like the dead. Winter in Cleveland. Every leader in the world turning hard right. Black men continue to have red targets on backs racist police are drawn to. Nothing is okay. Free Palestine, cut twice from the mouths of two honorees. A pre-recorded award show which allowed a white man with kind of Tourette syndrome, which made him say, "Nigger!" just as two black actors stepped up and started to announce the next award. If his disease caused the insult, what stopped his apology? What stopped anyone from BAFTA from saying anything to the two of them about it? The public written statement adds injury to insult as Lindo and Jordan stand silent in a way only we know how to do. They remained as professional as Chris Rock, the shouted word from a white mouth worse than a slap. Remember the white public outcry when Obama wore a tan suit? Damn. Now the mad hater walks around naked as the emperor, lies like it's a job, takes us into a war he can't legally begin. Yet American soldiers, Iranian children, Lebanese people die in a conflict Congress didn't approve. Hundreds of lives, $1 billion a day and counting, while the citizens who did and did not vote for him suffer the same. No money for gas, health care, to pay basic bills, get in line inside their own heads, choose between paying utilities and filling their prescriptions, while at the White House, two men on his staff wear his identical style of black shoes. Trump ordered by guessing their sizes. All are too afraid not to wear them and walk in them daily like clowns. The late Jesse Jackson used to say, "Keep hope alive." And I hope for peace in the world, a no Netanyahu two-state solution for Palestine and Israel. Pray for a time when all people can be free. Some years ago, when I was visiting professor, one of my colleagues shared this with me, and it's called Transgender Note. I remember my transgender colleague, his revelation at 65, blessed answer to lifelong alienation, breasts on a torso that is a chest, long looks in mirrors, bathtubs, beds, wondering whose strange skin that is and why it makes him cry. I look deep into hetero mirror, imagine seeing stranger, to look in closet full of mismatched clothes, underwear drawer of no, shoes one style, hair for another head. I rehear my friend, decades of confusion over, where he described finally not having breasts, feel my own, completely at home, wonder how I'd feel if they didn't. And I'll leave y'all with this. It's called The Seventh Day. Christians believe God created the world in 6 days or 144 hours. If this is true, on the seventh day, God woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, raised hell, kicked him downstairs, Found the best DJ in the Cloud Club that month to spit rap so right, all God could do was shake his behind, drink non-alcoholic champagne, eat soul food like tomorrow would never come, make up beats with the young, and tell his favorite angel to back that thing up one more time. Thank you.
Let's give another round of applause for Dr. Mary Weems. Pray for a time when all people can be free. Sometimes you just have to tell it straight. I'm astounded by your ability to look at our beliefs, our myths that we've built, this American project, and really undercut all of it. And at the core of your work, I do see the empathy. I'm glad that I had that additional context because I think that is very present and very there. So thank you for sharing. Let's give another round of applause. So before we close, this evening would not be complete without recognizing one of the all-time greats who could not be here tonight, Akron native, former US Poet Laureate, and 2018 Cleveland Arts Prize winner for Lifetime Achievement, Rita Dove. So as many of you know, Rita Dove served on the Anisfield-Wolf Book Awards jury for 33 years, right alongside Dr. Henry Louis Gates. She actually transformed the prize in introducing the poetry category, which didn't exist until 2015. Right? The first time I met Rita Dove as program director was just 45 minutes south of here at a very unexpected place. It was at a baseball game. In addition to her many accolades, and she's still racking them up, I do believe she is the first poet to be transformed into a bobblehead. So last year, her hometown baseball team, the Akron Rubber Ducks, honored her by inviting her to throw the first pitch, and they gave away bobbleheads to all the first attendees in the audience. So of course, the Anisfield-Wolf team made a whole trip of it, and my greater luck, other than getting the bobblehead, was getting the chance to meet Rita Dove. She saw me, she was kind of like in a suite, and she saw me reading her book in the middle of the baseball game because I'm not a baseball fan. So her nephew brought her down and decided to chat with me, and it's a special moment that I'll remember forever. But in all seriousness, Rita Dove's father actually was an industrial chemist who worked for 4 decades at Goodyear Tire. So I can imagine what that moment meant for her to be at the Rubber Ducks game in her hometown and to be honored in that way. Upon learning his daughter wanted to be a poet, he paused and said, "Well, I've never understood poetry, so don't be upset if I don't read it." So off she went, transforming contemporary American letters, carving out the public space for this work that feeds the private soul, as she would say. There are so many qualities in Rita Dove's writing to admire. Her words transport you to unexpected places. They shift something in your spirit. They leave the door slightly ajar to the mystery of this life, our history, and our shared humanity. So to close us out, I'd like to just read 2 of her poems to call her words and her spirit into the space with us. And I'm just gonna pick the poems on the fly. I selected 5. It's really hard to only select 2. So give me a second. The fish in the stone. The fish in the stone would like to fall back into the sea. He is weary of analysis. the small, predictable truths. He is weary of waiting in the open, his profile stamped by a white light. In the ocean, the silence moves, and so much is unnecessary. Patient, he drifts until the moment comes to cast his skeletal blossom. The fish in the stone knows to fail is to do the living a favor. He knows why the ant engineers a gangster's funeral, garish and perfectly amber. He knows why the scientist, in secret delight, strokes the fern's voluptuous braille. Okay, sorry, I have to do 3. I'm sorry. The wake. Your absence distributed itself like an invitation. Friends and relatives kept coming, trying to fill up the house, but the rooms still gaped. The green hanger swang empty, and the head of the table demanded a plate. When I sat down in the armchair, your warm breath fell over my shoulder. When I climbed to bed, I walked through your blind departure. The others stayed downstairs, trying to cover the silence with weeping. When I lay down between the sheets, I lay down in the cool waters of my own womb and became the child inside, innocuous as a button, helplessly growing. I slept because it was the only thing I could do. I even dreamed. I couldn't stop myself. Is Love Jones still here? Well, even if oh, there she is. Hey, Love. So this poem, it's called For Sophie, who will be in first grade in the year 2000, but my reading tonight I'm going to dedicate to you. No bright toy, this world we've left you. Even the wrapping is torn, the ribbons grease-flecked and askew. Still, it's all we have. Wait a moment before you pick it up. Study its scratches, how it shines in places. Now love what you touch, and you will touch wisely. May the world in your hands brighten with use. May you sleep in sweet breath and rise always in wonder to mountain and forest, green gaze and silk cheek. Dear Sophie, littlest phoenix. Please join me in thanking all 9 of our readers one more time. Let's thank our organizers, Literary Cleveland and Cleveland Arts Prize. Thank you to our sponsors, Coventry Village, and our friends at Max Backs Books. And thanks to the Heights Theater for hosting us. Remember, events are happening all week here on Coventry as part of their Spark Something springtime celebration. Stop back. Don't miss the poetry crawl tomorrow on Indie Bookstore Day. And please stick around tonight to meet each other and to thank these poets for their remarkable readings and to buy their books. Thank you again to all of you all for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks.
Yes, just a second.
Okay. Yes, they turned it on. This was so incredible.
Oh, wow.
I love hearing you. Yeah.
The energy just, everybody, I just rode on the energy.
Yeah, yep. Wait here for a second. If all the Cleveland Arts Prize winners could come to the stage, we do want to take a picture really quickly. So if you're a winner of the Cleveland Arts Prize, please head to the stage. We're going to take a picture.
Yeah, take a picture.
That's fine. Let me move this out the way.